Welcome back to Creators Value, the show where we explore the journeys, struggles, and triumphs of artists, authors, and storytellers shaping our world today. I'm your host, Francis, and I'm so excited to introduce today's guest, Jaytilya M. Watkins. Jaytilya is an author of 3 books: The Misunderstood African American Female, Devotion, Obsession, and Deceptions, and Queens in a War Zone. She's also an illustrator, a painter, and a producer of the documentary Monroe County Before and After C-19, now available on Green Vibe and Vimeo. Jaytilya was born in Dallas, Texas, and raised in Monroeville, Alabama. She has devoted her creative career to telling powerful stories through words, images, and film. Jaytilya, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing today? And I must say, thank you for allowing me to be on this show. You don't understand how hard it is for people like me to be able to be on shows like this. Some people are very uppity and they just like if you don't have like a certain amount of subscribers and stuff, they don't want to deal with it. And I just want to thank you.
Our purpose has always been to search the world with leading creatives, authors, and just anybody who is doing content right now who actually has a purpose on what they do. And you are one of those that we've found. And it is our pleasure to have you on our show. Jaytilya, let's start at the beginning. You were born in Dallas and moved to Monroe, Alabama, like 5 years old. Could you share to us what the transition was like and how your childhood influenced you as a creator?
It was depressing because like adults don't understand. Sometimes they need structure, they need to stability, they need to be able to sit in one place and get familiar with people, get to know each other. I had got familiar with that type of life because I had been living there for 5 years. And so my mom and my dad, my dad brought me home to go to a relative funeral. And in the process of doing that, he decided that he wanted to stay in Alabama and live back in Alabama. And so my mom was up there in Dallas, Texas, still working. She had no idea that he was going to say, I want to move back. I want to move back to Monroe. And so when he did that, women are always caught off guard. They'll have a life with a good job and stuff. And then their husband will be like, oh, I want to move here. And because they're wives and they're taught to be submissive, they just go along with the process. From my mama's point of view, she tell me she was having a good life up there. She had a good life in Dallas, Texas, right? And she had a good job. She had her own business and all that. But from my daddy's point of view, he was saying that it was a violent neighborhood, and he didn't want to raise me and grow me up there. So I'm hearing two different sides. And then there's my side where I had became adapted to my friends and stuff up there. And then I know I understand my mom and dad is from Dallas, Texas, but I was born in Dallas, Texas. So it was kind of hard for me to adjust. And I had made up a saying that, oh, I was born in Texas and I'm a die in Texas until I grew out of it. But yeah, it was a process for me because I was always out of my element and I was treated like I was out of my element with other people too. So it was a process.
It definitely is a process because, like, moving from one room to another, that's already chaos. But moving from one state to another or from one city to another, that's an entire different monster. And as you said, that, well, women, we just, your mom just has to be submissive about the decision. Well, having said that, during this transition, was there any influence on your storytelling? So for like mentors in both
Mm.
areas, how was the creative journey like and influencing you on your storytelling?
I had ups and downs within my family and everything, but it helped shape me into the person I am today. I didn't think during that time growing up I was going to be a storyteller. I didn't become a storyteller till like in my early 30s. I didn't know I was going to achieve all that in my 20s and my teenage years. I didn't know. So, but yeah, I will say that my environment and stuff I went through helped groom me into who I became. So yeah, it did have an impact. It had both a positive and a negative impact,
Both
but I'm
positive
happy
and
to.
negative. Right. Well, now we're about storytelling, and you've never really thought about it when you were 20s or in your teenage life. But then now we're here and let's talk about the misunderstood African American female. And What generally inspired you? What was the moment or moments that pushed you, let's put it in that way, pushed you to put those thoughts into words? What were the experiences that made you say, I think I need to write this story?
Me and Retilia Martin can relate to each other in a very, very similar way. Her upbringing was similar to mine. She grew up in a house of domestic violence and verbal abuse and drug abuse. So me and her relate in that way. But there are so many African American women with similar stories. And so that story is really many of our stories as African American females. We just get overlooked and we're misunderstood because it's how we handle the chaos. We handle it differently than any other race of women. Now they go other races of women go through stuff too, but it's like ours go overlooked, and they'll just look at our experience as, oh, get over it, or they'll call us bitter and angry, not looking at the source of what we went through to help groom us to that help us groom us to that situation of that state of mind, that state of thought, or actions. We get overlooked a lot. So I really felt like that part of us need to be told. Not all of us, it's some African American females that are understood, they're popular, everybody loves them. But then there are African American women like me who are not so popular, who are misunderstood, and how we speak come off as we are hateful, we're this and we're that. But really, we just trying to make you understand us. We're different than this one over here. We stand in our own lane and stuff. And so yeah,
Mm,
I loved it writing that story.
uh,
I can relate to her. I can relate to Retilia Martin.
so in the character, what is the hope for the character to achieve? Say in mainstream, if it was say put into a movie or into an animation, what is into the mainstream? What is the hope that you have for the main character to be imbued into its viewers
Are you
or
talking about
readers?
Retilia?
Or readers for now.
Oh, you talking about Retilia Martin? Or
Yes,
you
that's
talking
right.
about? Well, she achieved in the book what people were saying that she wasn't going to achieve. She graduated high school. Now, I didn't write part 2 and part 3 yet, which I plan to do in the future, but she's going to go to college and stuff online, of course, and everything. And yeah, she's going to achieve more stuff. She's going to become what they thought she wasn't going to become. And it started with graduation because everybody thought she was going to get pregnant at 14 and 15. And there was a chance that she could have got pregnant at that age because she was sexually active. So it could have been that. But God saw it and he was like, no, we're going to make you do what they think you're not going. And so the first step was graduation because it's a lot of people who don't graduate. And so she achieved that in that story.
And stay tuned for the next episode.